SSENSE, a Montreal-based luxury fashion retailer, became a global powerhouse by blending high-end brands with emerging designers. Founded in 2003 by the Atallah brothers, SSENSE set trends and built a loyal, style-savvy community worldwide. The site was more than a store, it was a hub for fashion inspiration, known for its sleek design and curated selection. By 2021, SSENSE was valued at $4 billion and employed over 1,000 people, dominating the online luxury market. Shoppers loved the seamless experience, fast shipping, and access to exclusive international styles. But in August 2025, SSENSE shocked the industry by filing for bankruptcy protection. The sudden crisis wasn't due to one issue, but a storm of challenges: abrupt changes in US trade rules, a luxury market slowdown, and lender pressure. The company that once set the pace for global fashion now faces its toughest test yet. How did a star of the industry end up here? The answer reveals just how quickly fortunes can change in today's economy. Let's break down what happened and what it means for the future of fashion. SSENSE's story is a cautionary tale for every retailer chasing global success. The next chapters will determine if this fashion icon can survive. Here's how it all unraveled. Bankruptcy doesn't always mean the end. For SSENSE, filing for bankruptcy protection is a strategic pause, not a shutdown. This legal process, under Canada's Companies Creditors Arrangement Act, ccaa, lets SSENSE keep operating while it restructures. Orders are still shipped, employees are paid, and the website stays live. The goal: buy time to create a plan to pay debts and adapt the business. The crisis was triggered when SSENSE's main lender tried to force a sale, causing a sudden cash crunch. By filing for protection, SSENSE's leaders took back control, aiming to steer the company's recovery themselves. Bankruptcy protection is a shield, not a surrender. It gives SSENSE a fighting chance to survive, restructure, and return stronger. The next few months are critical. Success depends on smart strategy and tough decisions. For now, the brand is still in the game, but the pressure is on to prove it can adapt. Will SSENSE find a way out? The world is watching. Let's look at what pushed them to the brink. One of the biggest blows to SSENSE came from a sudden US trade policy shift. For years, SSENSE thrived thanks to the de minimis rule, which let them ship goods under $800 to US customers without import taxes. This made SSENSE a go-to for Americans seeking global fashion at competitive prices. But in July 2025, the US government abruptly suspended this exemption and slapped a 35% tariff on many Canadian goods. Overnight, SSENSE's costs soared, and US shoppers faced sticker shock. The company's core business model was upended in an instant. SSENSE could no longer compete on price with US retailers. The sudden rule change left little time to adapt, triggering a financial crisis. This was the tipping point that pushed SSENSE toward bankruptcy protection. A single policy shift can shake even the strongest brands. But what exactly was the de minimis rule, and why did it matter so much? The de minimis rule, in place since 1938, let low-value imports under $800 enter the US duty-free. In 2016, the threshold jumped, fueling a boom for international e-commerce. SSENSE and others could sell to Americans without surprise fees, acting almost like domestic retailers. In 2024, over 1.4 billion packages entered the US this way, worth $64 billion. But critics argued it gave foreign companies an unfair edge and hurt US jobs. Both Trump and Biden administrations eyed the rule as a loophole for avoiding tariffs and smuggling goods. In summer 2025, the exemption was suspended, and now every package faces new duties or steep fixed fees. For SSENSE, shipping thousands of orders daily, these costs became overwhelming. The loss of de minimis wasn't a minor inconvenience, it was a business model breaker. Suddenly, global e-commerce was a lot less global, and SSENSE wasn't the only one feeling the pain. The end of the de minimis exemption sent shockwaves through the retail world. International brands scrambled to rethink their US strategies as tariffs and duties made cross-border sales far more expensive. Even US-based companies like Tapestry, owner of Coach and Kate Spade, projected losses, $160 million, with a third blamed on the rule change. Smaller brands like Canada's Province of Canada stopped shipping to the US entirely. The new costs were simply too high for many to absorb. the luxury sector was already struggling. Matches Fashion closed, Farfetch was sold off, and Yux Net-a-Porter was acquired. The business of selling luxury goods online is now a high-stakes game. The US trade shift didn't just hurt SSENSE, it exposed the fragility of the entire industry. For many, the new rules were the final straw. The landscape for global fashion retail has changed, possibly for good. And SSENSE was caught right in the middle. But tariffs weren't their only problem. Even before the tariff shock, SSENSE was feeling the squeeze. The luxury market was cooling off. Consumers, hit by inflation, were spending less on high-end fashion. In early 2025, SSENSE's sales dropped 28% year-over-year, a huge blow for any retailer. Meanwhile, costs kept rising. Warehousing, tech, marketing, and payroll for a global team. The company faced a perfect storm, falling revenue and rising expenses. SSENSE tried to cut costs, laying off 8% of staff in May 2025, the third round of layoffs in a year. These moves signaled deep trouble even before the US trade changes. When tariffs hit, it was the final push into crisis. The company's survival now depended on drastic action. Could SSENSE adapt fast enough to survive? The experts weighed in. Industry experts see SSENSE's crisis as a warning for all global retailers. Huma Aslam, a fashion tech analyst, called the bankruptcy significant, proof that even giants aren't safe from sudden policy shifts. She warns relying on a single market or trade rule is risky. Diversification is now essential. The suspension of de minimis shattered the old e-commerce playbook. Charles de Brabant of McGill University described SSENSE's troubles as a double whammy: market slowdown plus new tariffs. The combination created a nearly impossible environment for retailers. De Brabant predicts more challenges ahead for the industry. The retail world is in transition. Old models are breaking down. SSENSE's story is bigger than one company. It's a sign of a new, uncertain era for global fashion. Agility and strategy will decide who survives. The next move is up to SSENSE. Here's how they plan to fight back. Despite the crisis, SSENSE's founders are determined to save the company. Filing for ccaa protection gives them time to reorganize and build a new path forward. The company promises business as usual for customers. Orders shipped, site updated, employees paid. Protecting staff is a top priority. Morale and talent are key to recovery. The restructuring plan will tackle debt, cut costs, and rethink the US strategy, possibly shifting focus to other markets. The Atallah brothers are leading the charge, fighting to keep control and preserve their vision. They're not just saving a business, they're defending a brand built over 2 decades. The road ahead is tough, but this is SSENSE's chance to adapt and survive. The outcome will shape not just their future, but the future of online luxury retail. What lessons can the industry learn from this? SSENSE's struggle is a wake-up call for the entire fashion industry. The biggest lesson: don't rely too heavily on one market. Diversify to protect against sudden shocks. Adaptability is crucial. Retail is shaped by tech, trends, and unpredictable policies. The de minimis suspension proved that business advantages can vanish overnight. Companies need contingency plans and must be ready for what-if scenarios. The multi-brand luxury model is under pressure, competition is fierce, and margins are thin. Success now means offering more than just a wide selection. Think exclusivity, experiences, and community. The future belongs to brands that are resilient, innovative, and deeply connected to their customers. SSENSE's journey through bankruptcy will be closely watched. If they adapt and survive, they could set a new blueprint for the industry. The road ahead is uncertain, but this could be a turning point for global fashion. The industry must get smarter, more creative, and better prepared for whatever comes next. The story of SSENSE is far from over.